You believe it? It's Superman 3 with a side of popcorn. Hi, what's going on? That's Rose.
Hi.
And I am John, and welcome to A Side of Popcorn. This is our podcast where we hang out with you every other week and talk about movies. This season of Superman, this season of A Side of Popcorn is actually the Superman season, where we're going to go through and watch every single Superman movie leading up to...
We're going to watch most of them.
We're going to watch most of them. We're going to skip a couple of them, leading up to James Gunn's Superman. And what's really cool about this is if you actually get the tier 2 sub here on the CouchCapades channel on YouTube, you get to watch you get access to the watch-alongs as well, where we're going to sit down and just watch the movie with you and make all the crazy comments. Like, why in God's name did we do this for Superman 3? What were we thinking?
So many questions on this one.
What were we thinking?
Questions like, why did we decide to watch this movie?
What full on was the idea? So before we get into it, before we give our high level concepts, before we get into the ratings and all this stuff, let me read you a little synopsis of Superman 3. Superman 3 came out in 1983. Let's see if I can have the specific date. Do I have the specific? I do not. Directed by Richard Lester, who directed Superman 2, the original cut.
Yes, the theatrical version.
Cut with Chris Reeves, Richard Pryor. Margot Kidder was kind of in there for a little bit.
Yeah, she had a cameo.
Annette O'Toole, who to me stole the show. But here we go. Let me give you a quick synopsis of what's happening in Superman 3.
Sure.
Computer programmer Gus Gorman is hired by financial tycoon Ross Webster to seize control of a weather satellite to annihilate Colombia's coffee crop.
You're supposed to get through this with a straight face.
I'm trying.
Keep going. Keep going.
When Superman manages to thwart the plan, Webster commands Gorman to use the satellite to locate kryptonite, the Man of Steel's mortal weakness. But a missing unknown element in the kryptonite, replaced by Gorman with tar, causes an unintentional side effect when presented to Superman. Also, Clark went to Smallville.
Yeah, that was there.
That came from Rotten Tomatoes. Thank you so much, Rotten Tomatoes, for that synopsis, because that pretty much sums up this movie.
Yeah. Now you don't need to watch it.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on A Side of Popcorn. We'll see you next. Now, good God Almighty, Rose, I'm going to just open up the floor to you and just give me your thoughts and your feelings and everything about Superman 3. And we'll figure out, like, if you want to spoil it. I know we said we won't, but some things.
Spoilers later. Okay.
Spoilers later. Okay. All right.
We have a layout.
Okay, we're going to stick to this layout.
For this 40-year-old movie.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
42-year-old movie.
Yeah, 42-year-old movie. Good Lord.
It's older than me.
It is. Okay. Just lay it on us. Just go.
So, not a spoiler. I knew from the opening credits that this one was going to be rough. And I vaguely remember watching this before. I don't remember if I've watched it once or twice in my life. This was either the second or third showing.
Sure.
I know that I have seen it at least once.
Okay.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point, because I know when we did Superman 2, there was the slapstickiness.
Yeah.
That I had to interject in my head of okay, we're leaning more on comedy than the original Superman. And
they still did a good job with Non. He was my favorite part of Superman 2 theatrical.
Yeah. And this opening title scene, this opening credit scene, which again, we'll break down here in a little bit, set the tone. You have a specific amount of time to really kind of set the tone of your movie or your show or your song or your game.
Yeah.
And then, there's fun times when you turn it on its head because you expect one thing, you got another, and it worked. This it was hey, it's a slapstick effing comedy.
We have seen so many movies do interesting things with the opening credits.
Yes.
And work it into the background, or somebody will walk past and the text will just splay out behind them. There are so many interesting things that you can do with opening credits. I really would have rather that they just had a crawl for the opening credits.
Like, stick to what worked for 1, 2, and Donner cut. Like, give us just the ultimate, the highlights. Do the damn thing and just kind of truck along.
Let it go.
It felt so crammed and weird.
It was so long.
Well, we've complained about how long they've all been.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. I'm not going to count against that one because they've all been long. We've all said that. But it just felt weird how they were just kind of there in the scene in the open.
It felt like somebody had watched Star Wars 2 recently with their opening crawl.
Uh-huh.
And they were just like, oh,
we can do that.
We can angle the letters. We can make the bottom half of the screen all blurry. And there was no need for it.
I think that's what got me the most of that opening crawl or the opening scene. Not just the slapstickiness. It's one of those things like, oh, we're going to turn into it. It's like, oh, no, we're going to crash the car into the slapstick. And
I didn't get the feel that it was trying to be slapstick with the opening credits. I felt like they were taking themselves way too seriously.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I did not get slapstick at all.
Okay. All right. We'll save this for sure because I'm going to ask a question, because there's a part where you get introduced to Richard Pryor right off the bat.
No, I'm talking about the credits themselves.
The credits themselves? Okay. All right.
I'm not talking about Gus. Gus, yeah, he was nothing but slapstick.
That was so weird.
But then the way that they presented the opening credits on screen, I was just like, are you guys trying to take yourself seriously here?
Wow. This is why we make this podcast.
The tone was so dissonant to what was going on.
Okay. All right.
And I was just there like, oh no. This is going to be bad.
I am fascinated to dig into that one a little bit.
Sure.
Just, when we get into spoiler territory for a 40-year-old movie, but what else kind of stuck out with you? You knew you were in for a ride. You didn't know what kind of ride you were going to be in for. How did it play out when the tone got set? Did it meet your expectations? Because obviously it lowered it. Let's be honest. We knew we didn't know what we were getting into. We knew it was bad, but it's a very interesting. It's going to be this bad.
Yeah. No. It was rough.
It was rough. Mm-hmm.
It was rough from the beginning. Probably didn't help that I wasn't especially in the mood for a comedy at the time.
Fair.
But yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
How about you?
I don't want to say this is an affront to God. I've seen worse movies.
Yes.
I'm gonna dog on this movie. I really, really am.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you some of the highlights that I really, really liked. There were a couple good. Again, Chris Reeve steals the show.
Yes.
He does a fantastic job with this as always. So there was kind of a nice foundation that I knew we were going to have, even if the house itself was just going to fall over by just a light breeze.
Sure.
Or if you're watering the plants and accidentally get the window wet and the window falls off and then everything just kind of crumbles from that.
Okay.
That's kind of how
very specific.
That's very specific. That's kind of how I felt with this whole kind of movie. Cause it did set the tone for me. It going exactly opposite of you. I don't think it knew how to take itself, period. If it was trying to take itself seriously, it lost me at one specific point during the opening credit where I'm just like, oh, that's what we're doing.
What was that?
The blind man stepping on the guy's head.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to have some semblance, I got this word, of being serious, you threw that out not even 5 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
And it was that whole sequence of that going, oh, no, we are going to be almost to the point of Three Stooges, which I know was kind of the birth of slapstick in a weird way.
Sure.
But even more so. And that's why I'm like, we're going to take this comedy aspect of Guck and really turn into that tree and crash and kill everyone in the car for that tree.
Yeah.
For that comedy. And again, highlights, there were some, I will fully admit, there were some of the highlights of this movie, but it just felt so unevenly paced.
Yeah.
It felt so weirdly written.
Yes.
And like there were a couple cool things like AI and computers and whatnot, and how we need to be like wary of them here in 2025. Hey, that's really kind of a thing that's happening. But it just never, pun intended, got off the ground and started flying.
Sure.
Because it just got in its own way.
Yeah.
Minus, again, maybe one sequence that I really, really liked. Mm-hmm. And then the action was decent.
Sure.
Like they actually set shit on fire, which, okay, that's cool. But that's kind of how I feel about this movie. It's just like, you tried, Pat's for you. Maybe you should have had someone else. Maybe you should have asked someone like from the outside going, is this a good idea?
Yeah.
And that person probably should have said no. Yeah. No, we should just leave it at 1 and 2.
Let's just leave it there. It's okay.
Let's just leave it there.
We don't need another Superman movie.
No, we don't. And from the box office looking at it, it didn't do that well. So, and somehow Superman 4, The Quest for Peace got greenlit, which I am not really.
I'm so scared for
looking forward to that.
I don't remember anything from 4.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't remember anything from 4. This is like, it was like watching a new movie to me. I was like, I don't remember any of this. Holy shit. No, that is insane. Same. Okay. We have a rating system.
Yes.
We always rate these movies. Last episode for the Donner Cut, you gave the Donner Cut an 8.
Yes. I believe so.
I think it was an 8, and I gave it a 9.5.
Uh-huh.
We are now on Superman 3.
Uh-huh.
Let's review our rating system for everyone listening or watching. Thank you for doing that, by the way. Let us know what you think of Superman 3 as we're going along.
Yeah.
So
leave us a comment with your rating.
Exactly. And we're going to go from 1 to 10, as we always do. A 1 is actively harmful to society.
A 2 is toxic or dreadful. Toxic.
Toxic. I like that. I like that. Toxic.
Toxic or dreadful.
3 is awful.
4 is bad.
5 is meh or indifferent. 6 is okay or fine. 7 is good.
8 is good or a great or a bona fide good time.
9 is amazing, fantastic, or brilliant.
10 is a masterpiece or a shining star for society. I'm done reading.
That's usually my job to mess up the rating.
Usually.
Oh man, this is how bad.
We're switching.
Dude, this is how bad Superman got you.
We're switching roles. I don't know.
Holy shit!
Should be fun.
Okay. What are you rating Superman 3?
It was awful. It was awful. It's a 3.
It's a 3.
Yeah. Because I do feel like I have seen worse movies.
Sure. Hell, we've seen worse superhero movies.
Yes. So, like, it still had decent cinematography. I thought the coloring was good.
Mm-hmm.
They spent way too much on the opening and the closing credits trying to be fancy with them. And just, they were still trying to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know how well they succeeded.
Yeah.
But it was 3.
It's 3? Okay.
Yeah. Chris Reeves also, like, he still got his thing going.
He still got it.
Annette O'Toole
my God.
Still got it.
She still got it. She still got it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The bad guys were just not good.
Yeah.
What's your rating?
I actually think I was going to give it a 2, but I think I am going to give it a 3 because there is, again, a sequence that I actually really love. And I'm like, man, that does a lot for this whole movie. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we didn't have Lex.
Yeah.
The fact that.
Or just anybody cool.
We didn't have a cool bad guy.
Yeah.
We didn't have Margaret Kidder. Yeah, as Lois, which I'm cool with Annette O'Toole and Lana and doing all that subplot idea, but
she also didn't.
She also didn't really do anything. Yeah, there's no space to breathe. A little more, in my mind, a little more than Margaret Kidder did in 1 and 2 combined. I'll say it. I think they wrote her at least a little bit better.
Yeah,
and kind of gave her a backstory of just things that were happening in Smallville, but. This is so like forgettable.
Yeah.
That I can't wait for this podcast to grow. And in 5 years, people are going to be like, oh yeah, you did the Superman series. And I was like, when we'll be like, yeah, we did. Shit, we watched Superman 3, didn't we?
Ah.
What did we give it? And that's where I put Superman. Like, it is an awful movie. It's so forgettable, minus one sequence that I'm just like, again, I was watching a new movie. I didn't take very good notes. I'm going to be honest with you, because I was just like, what the shit's happening?
I don't know if I can decipher my notes.
That's fair. That's perftly fine.
Like, we're going to go through some of my notes and I'm going to be like, can you explain to me why I said this?
God.
I think that's where we're at with this one.
Oh God, this is going to be great. I absolutely love this, but yeah, it's such an awful movie that I just cannot believe this happened.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, now we're just going to spoil the shit out of this movie.
So,
if for some odd reason you want to watch it, go watch it and then come back.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
You want to watch it along with us? We've got that watch along for you.
I don't think you need to, but because we'll just break it down right now and we're going to do it. So this whole movie, it's just weird. So we get introduced to Gus, played by Richard Pryor at the get-go.
Yep.
It just from the start, and he's just kind of a down and out kind of guy who's on in benefits or unemployment benefits. Yeah. Is what I'm trying to say. And he can't get them anymore because he hasn't found a job.
Yeah.
And so
he's been fired from 2 jobs that she listed. And then he just kind of bumps into a guy, bums a light off of the guy, and it's like, make money fast on this matchbook. And it's computer programming. Yeah.
Smash cut to the opening crawl, which is Vaseline to the hell on the bottom of the film.
Yeah.
With Superman, Chris Reeve, Margot Kidder, Richard Pryor, everyone's doing the thing. And it's just so strange, poorly put together. And Jimmy's there getting a hot dog.
Yeah.
But just
forgot about that.
Weird happenstance and like serendipitous things of, again, I go back to whoopsie daisy. Someone drops something. A blind man loses his walk dog. The dog chases after this thing.
The seeing eye dog.
Yeah, walk dog. Just the call. Let me have the service dog.
Sure.
Which you commented, going, that is an awful service dog.
It is. And it hasn't been trained to not ignore distractions.
Exactly.
Like, no.
And you're 100% correct. It was awful. And then we just Mr. Magoo'd the shit out of this.
Also, let's back up just half a second.
Okay, back me up. Back the train up.
Why was Lorelai there?
Oh yeah, the mistress of
Lorelai gets introduced so early, and we don't know why.
Okay, this is how bad this is.
We don't understand why she was walking across the scene in the first place, other than she hot.
I read the synopsis, and I've already forgot the bad guy's name. It's Ross Webster and his sister,
that's right.
Vera. And then Lorelai, hold on, I just had her name, with his mistress, Lorelai Ambrosia.
Yeah, who I kept on calling not Miss Tessmacher.
Not Miss Tessmacher, yeah.
Because that's how much I paid attention to her name. John finally remembered her name, so now, unfortunately, I do too.
I just remembered Lorelai and the Laser Eyes. That's the only reason I remember this name. I was like, oh yeah, Lorelai and the Laser Eyes.
Okay, Vera, I've got Vera Bradley, and then the bad guy is Ross. Like Super Ross Thunderbolt? General Ross?
General Thunderbolt Ross?
Yeah! See, you know who I'm talking about. There we go. Here's my impression of here's my thoughts on Superman 3. I can't remember anything. I have to go to all these different forms of media to try and remember the bad guys.
Oh.
Utterly forgettable bad guys.
Oh my God. That's great. And you're right. They are utterly forgettable bad guys. Getting back.
Utterly. Not ugly forgettable.
Well. So we're Mr. Magooing this shit right now. Blind guy is just walking all over. For
no reason.
I don't know what we were doing with this like sequence.
Yeah.
And then just he Mr. Magoo's, he steps over like a pothole, a construction worker falls in, pops up like a rabbit. Yeah. This guy walks over like on his head, and like Jimmy's just there kind of watching it, but sort of not. And then Lorelai walks across and like people get like really like, oh, she hot.
Oh.
And then like shit falls, like foamers fall over, and you're just like it was a full on Mr. Magoo sequence.
Yeah.
And that's what set the tone.
Reason.
For this whole effing movie. It was like, no reason for this. Superman shows up, and did he run behind something? Or like, I don't, like, he only changed like 3 times.
Was this the one where, no, this was not where he went through the back of the car.
No, that's coming up. That's coming up.
And it wasn't the fence.
It wasn't the fence.
He went into, it was the photo booth.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was actually funny.
Yeah.
I liked that. Like he jumps in the photo booth.
That was actually cute.
And you see,
and a little boy's walking up trying to get his picture taken.
Yeah.
And he just like grabs the photo, gives the kid the very last one because it's the only one that doesn't have Clark.
Yeah. And I actually really like that because it is Chris Reeve just like still shots doing the Superman chest pull or the shirt pull.
Completely unaware that he's getting his picture taken.
Those things are effing loud.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's happening. So he saves whomever. And then that sequence ends. And then we just end up in the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
There's Lois and like
Perry.
Perry's pissed off at Jimmy because he didn't have his camera with him.
To get a picture of Superman. And at the benefit that Ross had thrown recently, the night before, maybe, Jimmy only took pictures of Lorelai.
Oh my God. How the hell do you remember that? That's great.
I'm not sure.
You're right. Like,
he only got one picture of Vera, and Perry did not have good things to say about her.
And like Margot Kidder is in there for 12 lines, I think is what I read, because she didn't want to be in this movie. She hated that Donner got cut. And like I just read that the reason that they decided the writers and producers decided to cut her out is because her relationship with Superman ended in 2. So they didn't need her. That's straight up what I just read. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, then.
And then here comes Clark Kent walking in going, Perry, I have an idea for a story. A good idea for a story where I'm going to go back to Smallville, my hometown, and we're going to pretty much talk about the differences of me making it in Metropolis. A small town boy, and now I've made it, and I'm doing the thing.
I've made it in Metropolis. I've got the big time. And it's like, do you?
And I loved that. I loved that scene because it was Margot Kidder and the actor who played Jimmy slow turned and looked at Clark.
Yeah.
Earlier, Chris Reeves, and it's just like,
you sure?
They don't know about this. This is where we find out Lois is going on vacation to Bermuda.
Well, she's got a story that she's following.
Oh, I thought she straight up was going on vacation, then found the story.
No, she was going there for a story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's also where I made the comment of Lois is going to Bermuda. I wish I was going to Bermuda or Smallville instead of watching this movie. I knew early. I will
tell you right now, I have a note that says, man, I should have taken more notes. I have it right here. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yep.
So after Perry says yes to the story to Clark.
And he tells Clark to take Jimmy with him.
Take Jimmy. Jimmy can get pictures.
Jimmy can get pictures at your Smallville high school reunion. 20th?
I think it was 20th. I think we finally figured out it was the 20th.
Even though it wasn't 20
years. It was 1965 to
1983.
83. So
it's like 18 years.
So maybe it was 18 when we weren't paying attention. It's this movie. But yeah, they're on a bus, Jimmy and Clark.
Yeah.
And this is the only time that I've ever thought that Clark was actually annoyed with anyone because Jimmy's just talking his ear off. And it's just, a weird sequence to put in there.
Yeah. And honestly, so before we actually saw who was talking, I thought that it was Clark boring Jimmy with stories of Thanksgiving with the Smallville relatives.
Sure.
And I was just like, I don't think that Clark had these kind of relatives growing up.
Yeah.
But like, I could see him going on and on about his small town family and growing up. And, she likes to make the stuffing inside the turkey.
Yeah, his aunt or something crap like that.
And I'm just there like, this is the kind of conversation that Clark thrives on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it was very out of place for Clark, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Of the small town boy, just doing his thing. So yeah, it was very weird. And then the bus stops because there's a chemical fire.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a chemical fire outside of Smallville.
Yes. That apparently they can't get under control. Jimmy goes into camera mode. Camera mode. Wants to get pictures. Clark's like, okay, yeah, kind of do that.
Sure.
There's a cop right there that watches Jimmy sneak past him.
Like, Jimmy bumps into him. And the cop's just like, oh, yeah, he's going.
Okay. All right, well, good luck. Do the thing. And this is where Rose, we got the Clark jumping into a cop car.
Opens the back door. Goes in, changes, goes out the other side. And the whole time there's a cop sitting in the front seat. And it's just like, what?
And he's like, oh, I wonder what happened. No, nothing. And this is where the whole movie kind of like, it gets weird. Again, this is a weird movie, but the fact that they introduced the thing that Superman needs at the end of the movie here, we're maybe 20 minutes in, if that.
Yeah. And they expect moviegoers to remember about this acid for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah.
At least an hour and a half.
Yeah, this movie was 2 hours and 5 minutes, by the way. I didn't actually say that. But yeah, like Jimmy's taking pictures. Superman's helping everyone. Jimmy falls, breaks his leg. Superman helps him, but there's a doctor or a scientist who's like, I can't leave my lab. And he's like, well, why not? Well, if this acid heats up to 160 degrees, then it's going to eat through anything on this earth.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's weird. Okay, very specific, but I got you.
But, maybe Superman should cool this spot down. Like, freeze
there's
it a little bit.
fire in the back. And, like, I will admit, this is where...
Maybe not freeze. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with the acid then. But, like, he could have cooled it down.
Yeah, this is where the first, like, I really liked that they blew up a truck.
Yeah.
Like, they blew up straight up blew up a gas truck. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's badass. Reminded me of Twister. That's why I was like, man, that's really, really cool. But then the water pressure dies for the fire department.
Yes.
And so Superman has to figure out what to do. And he asks, where's the nearest lake? And they're like 5 miles that direction. This bitch flies 5 miles, super breaths the shit out of the top of the lake, picks up the lake of the top of it, and flies back and throws it into the fire. And it starts raining. And I'm like, okay, yep. Mr. Magoo sequence really set up the whole goofiness that is this.
Yeah.
And that's how you get rid of Jimmy. Jimmy breaks his leg, clean break in the fibula or whatever.
I think it's the fibula.
And then just like, all right, see you later, Jimmy. And that was it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Like, you don't see Jimmy until they're back in Metropolis. And it's like, but he was supposed to go take pictures. Like, what's going on here?
So, somewhere during this time, Gus, who we got introduced to, is somehow a computer genius, like a computer programming genius. Yeah. I don't know how that works. I'm just going to let the MacGuffin happen.
He took one class and became a genius.
So
he understood it all.
We literally pull the plot from Office Space where the guys are trying to steal decimal points of pennies.
Yes.
And Gus pulls this off and now has like $85,000 check.
Yes.
Unlike the guys from Office Space where they mess up a decimal and like have millions of dollars. Yeah. But so the company, which is Wesco, I think it's Websco, and Ross Webster. I'm gonna have to remember this bitch's name through this whole podcast.
Yeah,
like gets keyed off because he knows that the world is going to computers,
sure,
and whatnot, and so he wants to meet.
He's got that future vision.
Yeah, he's looking 40 years down the road. And he wants to meet
to 2023
and understand and use Gus to with his
programming
ability to hack into a satellite that controls the weather because Websco is also in the coffee industry.
Yes.
And they want to destroy their competitors' coffee beans in Colombia.
Yep.
This whole movie starts as a evil billionaire tycoon, millionaire tycoon, it never says billionaire.
Sure.
Millionaire tycoon, CEO, wanting to take control of coffee, which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, also, the coffee industry is brutal.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, like doing a little bit of research in the coffee industry. It's insane. But a weather controlling satellite. And so this is how everything kind of converges. Clark is in Smallville, runs into Lana. The flame rekindles.
Sure.
If there ever was a flame, but the flame rekindles.
We find out that Lana had a kid.
Lana had a kid named Ricky. We can't tell if Brad, who is the flamed out in high school, is Ricky's dad. I don't think they ever say. Someone in the comments let us know.
I'm sure they did.
And
but
over
my brain blipped out so many times in this movie.
Yeah. And so Clark's there. He's playing daddy because he's always had a thing for Lana.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Annette O'Toole still got it in 1983. Hell yeah. But yeah, Clark's playing dad. There's a point when they're in the tallest effing weeds in Smallville, Kansas, having a picnic.
Yes. Instead of going to where the grass is cut, just like over the hill.
Over the hill.
Not even a hill. It's like 50 feet away.
I'm going to get back to this convergence here in just a second, I promise. Yeah. I'm kind of laying out what's going on Clark's side.
Sure.
And Ricky falls, hits his head.
Yeah.
There are harvesters coming at Ricky. The dog's yelling, which I did. Again, this is the little points of the movie where I'm like, all right, this is really cool because they actually gave you a visual representation of Clark's hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Lay it out that way. I
it's
actually
just
really
one of those. It's about time that they do something like that.
Yeah, it kind of show us what it is.
Yeah.
And I was down with that. And then Clark runs behind a fence. Superman, Magical Girl transforms.
Yes.
Saves Ricky.
Yes.
Superman was here. And Clark has to do his thing of like, well, I found the dog. And that was it. And then Gus is in Smallville because he's going to use a computer in Smallville, Kansas.
Yes.
That is the machine that is going to hack.
Yeah, because
the weather
satellite. Well, let me see if I remember this.
Let's do it.
Because Ross wanted Gus to use a Websco computer. Might have been a competitor. I'm not sure. And in order for Gus to get in, they wanted, or to have a cover story, they wanted to make sure that it wouldn't leak back to Ross and his sister.
Yes.
So Gus had to go to middle of nowhere to use a computer
that wasn't
to
connected.
Hack the satellite, even though it's still a Webster computer.
See, okay.
I
don't think it was a Webster computer.
I think it was a competitor?
I think it was a competitor. They just chose a random place. I'm with you. I'm a little fuzzy on those details as well, but it was like, I remember the sequence of Ross talking to Gus about this and like, well, I can't send you to like any computer here. They can track it back to it being us. So I need you to go to someplace that's not connected to Websco is what I understood.
Okay.
And that's why we chose Smallville, Kansas.
Yeah.
From Metropolis, like on a bus.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they did send him on a bus.
So how long Clark was in Smallville? I have no idea.
Long enough for Jimmy to go back to Metropolis.
Yeah, that's true. Long enough to do that. Long enough to play daddy. Long enough to do just this weird idea. Like it was nice to see Chris Reeves be a little more Clark in this movie. And actually be appreciated. Yeah, I'm calling Lois out a little bit. I am. Because Lana actually liked Clark, or at least saw a good father figure or male role model comparative to Brad, which everyone needs that. We don't need douchey people to be male role models. Sure. But again, it just got to that weird point of the switch of, oh, Superman's here.
Yeah.
I love Superman. Screw you, Clark. You're just friend zoned now. I want Superman. That's what it kind of felt like to me, like when they introduced Superman into
For Lana?
For Lana, yeah.
I don't think that Lana really got that far. Like,
maybe it was a weird infatuation. Like,
I don't think that she friend zoned Clark because of that. I think it was more of, oh, Superman's here. Like, he's this great guy. He's does this, that, and the other thing. But like, I don't have a chance with him. I'm from Smallville, Kansas. But Clark is a good, solid guy that's here.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. You know, I can follow that. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, Clark still might be friend zoned. But if so, I don't think that that's because of Superman. I think it's because he was always friend zoned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that one I could go either way.
Yeah, I'm following
like,
you on that. I think you're right.
I'm not for sure that she friend zoned him, but like, if so, it was before Superman.
Sure. And that's what it was like, because Brad, like in the first movie, it was Lana was there and it was Brad, and she just,
yeah.
It did seem friend zone, so maybe it was just kind of that,
yeah.
Hey, he's a good guy, but he's always just going to be a friend. He lives in Metropolis. I'm a small town girl living in Smallville, Kansas, and in a lonely world. I was trying to figure out how I could slide that bad boy in there. Okay. So Gus is in Smallville. Hijinks ensue because this is a comedy movie, and Brad somehow happens to be the security guard.
Nighttime security guard.
Gus gets Brad drunk, and then a more hilarity ensues of slapstick comedy of turning on a computer because you have to have 2 keys.
Let me tell you, I laughed.
We laughed a lot.
Once, maybe?
I don't even know if I did, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
Gus gets this computer up and running and hacks whatever satellite they needed to for the weather and starts really messing up Columbia and their coffee crops. Yeah. Well, what happens? Superman does the thing, saves the day, and all that stuff, and everyone's like, the bad guys, Ross and his sister Vera, are like, oh, we did it, blah blah blah. You see a TV report going, everything's bad, whatnot, and they turn it off, and then here comes Gus walking into a high-rise.
Oh, I didn't know that this was gonna happen. He walks into a penthouse, rooftop apartment that has a ski hill on it.
And
for
you're right.
No reason.
You're right. Like, he walks in just that, I didn't know this was gonna happen. You can't blame me. Don't blame me. I did my job. That just because it didn't work doesn't mean I didn't do my job. So you can't blame me. And it was because Superman saved everything, and they just turned off the TV news report before they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool, whatever.
I'm just like, they just didn't want to film that.
They didn't want to film that. Like, they filmed a little bit of it because they were like, because
Gus.
I was to say Ross and then Gary.
Gus.
I went to Gary. I was like, I don't even remember your name. Kind of explain everything. You see Superman turn a tornado upside down. He laser-eyed the water out and like dried everything up.
Yeah.
And
without burning it. So clearly he has temperature control, but he couldn't just cool the acid down.
So it's just a lot of again, hijinks and all this crap. And you're like, okay, you know what? I'm okay with this because you've set the tone for this movie, but it's still goofy as shit. And this is where every bad guy turns because they got their plan thwarted by Superman. So now Superman's the mortal enemy, even though you kind of knew this is what Superman would probably do.
Yes.
So what do? We have to figure out how to kill Superman.
Yeah.
What's that? What's the stuff?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite. And who remembered that it was kryptonite?
Lorelai.
It was Lorelai, who I swear to God was an undercover agent.
She should have been.
She should have been.
She should have been something.
That would have been awesome if she was an undercover agent, because it was very cool for little scenes of her was playing almost Betty Boop.
Yeah.
And then an actual like spy or
I
don't know.
She's so smart.
So smart. Yeah. And I don't want to call it like you can't be both, but like it was a full on like switch.
They didn't want her to be both.
Yeah. And that's what sucked because there were times when she was reading like, I'll say particle physics or something like that, but it was all about computers. So computer physics and computer programming and stuff like that. And she just understood. And then when someone would look at her like, what are you talking about? She would go back to Betty Boop. And I'm just like, okay, I see where we're going with this. Yeah. I don't like that. Let her be a spy. In my headcanon, she was a spy.
In my headcanon, she was like with the FBI or something, and she was trying to help the FBI get Ross.
Yeah.
On at least tax evasion or something.
So that all okay. So if I'm remembering correctly, I got a little bit of a plot breakdown here, jumping around. It doesn't really matter. This is more fun anyway. So Gus has to figure out where kryptonite is at.
Where Krypton was in the sky so that he can find the kryptonite. And he can't find it, so he reverse engineers kryptonite?
He found something close to it. This is where it gets hazy, and I'm not 100% sure. He found something close to it.
And he decides to make kryptonite.
Yeah, it was like 0.5% was unknown.
Yeah.
And so he just, with his Marlboro or Camel cigarettes, he looks over and says tar, and so adds in tar, and then they synthetically make this kryptonite.
Yes.
Okay. So where we're at now is because Superman saved Ricky. Clark got Ricky an autograph for Superman.
Yes.
Lois calls Clark going...
Lois.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Lana calls Clark saying, hey, thanks so much. Ricky might have said that Superman's going to be at his birthday party on Wednesday or whatever. It's just called the birthday party. And Clark, being the nice guy and feeling a little bit of some appreciation for the shit that he does, says, yes, I'll be there. Yeah. And then now it's a
Superman will be there.
And now it's a big hullabaloo party that Superman is in Smallville.
With one of the worst cakes that we've ever seen in movie history.
So, and the mayor's there, and he gives Superman the key to the city.
Sure.
And everyone's cheering and all this stuff.
Gus shows up impersonating a general for some reason and is just like, Superman,
you've done a good job.
You've done such a good job.
Thanks for saving that power or the chemical plant last week or whatever.
We want to give you this recognition, and gives him the fake kryptonite. Is very confused why it's not killing Superman. And then he's just like, okay, well, I guess this failed, and leaves.
And Superman takes this weird kryptonite, which rightfully so. I love that Christopher Reeves just looks at it and is like, the hell is this?
Yeah. It's a great paperweight.
Yeah. And it was really, really funny that happened.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
But the funny part is it worked.
Yes.
But not in a way we anticipated.
No.
Because the tar in the synthetic kryptonite is what creates Divorced Dad Superman.
Divorced Dad Superman.
Yeah. That's what happens.
Yes.
This kryptonite, and I remember in Smallville, they actually introduced this kryptonite. I don't remember if it was orange or yellow kryptonite, where it makes him just emo as shit and really moody and just doesn't give a damn. Well, I'm going to call him.
Turns him into Zack Snyder's Superman.
Man, we're throwing. Zack Snyder's catching strays.
Look.
But
we'll get there.
But it is just Divorced Dad. Christopher Reeves, Clark has a beard.
Not a beard, but stubble.
Yeah, the 5 o'clock shadow just doesn't give a shit.
But in the bad way.
Yeah.
And just bags under his eyes. He hasn't slept in 5 weeks.
Yeah, the wife keeps on calling him for child support. He's doing his best, but he's unfortunately doesn't make enough money to cover the child support. His 3 kids are being dropped off every weekend, but it has to be supervised. And he's doing his best, but he just keeps on drinking.
I don't even know if he's doing his best, man.
He might not be doing his best because the cards were stacked against him. Yeah. The odds were not in his favor.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to see Christopher Reeves just kind of really take it on. And it is funny to see the coloring of Zack Snyder's Superman costume.
Yeah.
Oh, just the
foreshadowing.
It was really funny. I'm like, oh my God, this is the coloring of Zack Snyder's Superman. And just how much he doesn't give a shit. He fixes the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Even though it didn't need to be.
It didn't need to be fixed. He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
He really is hey, I've been saving all of you people, and what have you done for me? I am kind of a god, and F you.
Yeah.
Let me drink.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Let me drink.
And it's really freaking funny to see this.
Yeah. He has a little fling with Lorelai for some reason.
Yeah. Lorelei's there on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And
it's calling to him.
And he shows up and he's like, sup? Whatever. All right. let's go. And it was like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, she had him do something.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. You're right. So Ross's evil plan, because of the beans, the coffee beans.
Yes, the coffee beans.
Backfires. So he's like, all right, well, why don't we take it a step further and go after oil?
Oh, yeah.
And so Gus is going to be building a supercomputer if he does this, where all of the oil rig or all the oil ships have computers on them.
Yeah.
And Ross wants Gus to send out a email.
Yeah. He wants them all to converge in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
And there's one tanker that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And so that's what Lorelai wants Superman to do is
stop the one tanker.
That's right. I actually completely forgot about that.
So, he does that. And then he comes back and he really doesn't care who gets his swimmers anymore.
Nope. Really, the super swimmers happen. And like he blows out the Olympic flame.
Yeah. For no reason.
It's just like if this Superman was sitting there like leaning on a corner and like had a cigarette and just blew out the flame, it would fit so well. Like,
yeah, it really would have.
Just the amount of like drinking, but it actually wasn't too bad, but just drinking, not caring, and just like day drunk again,
all
divorced dad, down on his luck and all this crap. I really like that. I really like that bit. And this came to the point where didn't he go back to Smallville?
What I have next in my notes is Clark wins against the machine using his power of humanity.
Okay. I'm going to walk you through everything else because you missed a part because it was a very weird.
I was just staring at this movie as it unfolded.
It was a very weird sequence where Clark goes back to Smallville. Oh no! I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it wasn't
he's still in Smallville. It's right after he gets the thing, the fake kryptonite for the party for Ricky's birthday.
Okay.
And that's when the kryptonite starts messing with him.
Yes.
And so it was that.
Why are we backing up to this?
Because I don't know.
Okay.
I want to make sure we hit that because it was a very weird exchange that Clark didn't care that people were dying, and he's looking at Lois like, I can get there whenever I want.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so right after he got
literally right after he got the fake kryptonite.
Right after he got the fake kryptonite, Lana gets a call from somebody saying, "Hey, there's been an accident.
Yes.
We need Superman."
Mm-hmm.
Superman is just like,
he's
I don't
changed.
care.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to kiss Lana, and Lana's like, hey, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Then all the other things happen.
I really thought about.
All that you said was, no, let's go back. He just got the kryptonite.
Yeah.
I was very confused.
It was a very weird exchange because it was just like encroaching on. It was very creepy. Like, hey, I'm Superman. I'll get there what I want. Aren't you pretty? And I'm like, don't like this.
It was stalkerish.
It was very stalkerish. I'm like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
So, yes, now we can jump to.
We already talked about the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the Eternal Flame. And
I said this was out of order. Give me some grace.
So how does he get back to himself? Like, I remember him being in an alley and fighting Clark, but
it was so Lana. Well, what happened in my head was I forgot to explain that Lana saw Dark Superman or Divorced Dad Superman, and she decided that she was going to go to Metropolis.
Okay.
I don't know if she called Clark because obviously that didn't happen, but she shows up to Metropolis because Superman is. She shows up to Metropolis
she shows up to Metropolis because she wanted to get out of Smallville.
She wanted to get out of Smallville.
And Clark had said, hey, if you need me, then call me.
Yeah, which did Clark pick up? I don't know. He was drunk, divorced dad Superman.
Sure.
But when she gets to Metropolis, the cab can't take her to her hotel because that's the scene behind us. If you're watching the video version, that's what's happening right now is he's drinking and Superman leaves the bar. And Ricky's like, Superman, it's me. You'll get better, Superman. Be good. I believe in you, Superman. And And that's when this like weird vibration and like Clark, the humanity of Superman starts kind of coming out, and he screams again as he does and lands in this
back alley.
Was it a back alley or it was
like
more
parking lot or something?
I thought it was like a junkyard.
Sure.
It was a junkyard. And that's when the best sequence in, I'm going to say it, all 3 movies happens.
Okay.
This is when the humanity of Clark Kent and being closer to humans comes out. And there's this epic fight scene between drunk, divorced dad Superman and Clark Kent fighting each other. And that's how like this whole sequence of fighting for your humanity and what?
No, keep going.
And like this whole sequence was very cool because you're right, because what makes Superman such an interesting character is that he is a god. He can do whatever he wants. And it's his humanity that keeps him grounded.
Okay.
And I liked that Clark in this whole sequence was his humanity and was fighting against drunk, divorced dad, God Superman. What are you laughing at?
You are such a better person than I am.
What?
I thought it was one of the dumbest things in the movie.
This is what made the movie okay for me.
No, it was terrible. It was one of the stupidest things.
Seriously.
I was so bored by this point in the movie. Like that's the thing. Like, I'm sure the sequence was good. Now that you're explaining it.
Yeah.
Which it's really bad that it needs that explanation.
Yeah, it is bad that it needs that explanation. And I might be reaching a little bit, but that's how I felt.
Taking that, like, okay, you sell it and you make it sound so much better. Like, by this point in the movie, I was done. I was over it. My brain was checked out.
Okay.
I didn't take any notes. And I remember watching it going, yeah. Well, I guess Clark's going to win. What a surprise.
No, okay. See, and that's where, like, I checked. I like, don't get me wrong. It ups and downs, but this is the sequence I was talking about, where like this made the movie awful. Like it went up from just a horrible movie almost to like a 1 or 2, and brought it up to a 3, because this sequence really, to me, kind of encapsulates what Superman kind of is he is a god. He can do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. And like break people. Like only kryptonite is the only thing that can actually hurt him. And he chooses to be good. And that is, to me, again, what Jonathan and Martha bring to the table is they ground him. They make him human when he's not. But
side note.
Yeah. Where the hell is Martha?
Where's Martha?
She's dead.
They never mentioned Martha.
I agree.
Martha was mentioned in Superman 1 when he got to the Daily Planet and said, that he was sending money to his mom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the only time. Yeah. Where was she? Like, is she dead? Can we just say she was dead? I agree. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, it was that sequence right there that I'm like, okay, this is cool, because it is Clark Kent versus power hungry, don't give a damn, I do everything for you people, drunk, divorced dad Superman.
That's fair.
And that's,
like I said, you're a much better person than I am.
And seeing that is like, okay, yes, Clark was going to win because he is what is right with the world, having this ultimate power, but being able to do good with it. And that's what I liked about it. And that was the sequence for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had to wrap this crap up because God knows it was just Superman gets his humanity back, or whatever, the good side back.
Yeah.
He drops the Zack Snyder Superman colors and
has to go fight the machine. Gus, the computer that Gus built that scans people, knows their weakness immediately. The computer actually figures out how to make kryptonite.
That's true. It did. That's a good point.
Yeah.
There was a video game sequence.
Yeah, I have in here. Missiles won't stop Superman, especially not when they're fired using a computer game.
You know, that's great. I like that.
And then it's either a blackbird or a missile. Pretty sure it's a missile.
It was a missile. It looked like a blackbird,
but
it was a missile getting fired at Superman that kind of slowed him down and threw him against a rock.
Yeah.
Or a boulder or whatever. And
yeah, and then just like you had to get the machine to underestimate you and acid. And I was just there like,
and acid, and I don't really know what's happening.
Shouldn't the machine know everything about this acid? Like it recognized the acid, but not what could happen.
Yeah. So like there was this point,
very dumb AI.
There was this point where Gus was like, oh, we're actually doing bad things. And it was kind of trickled in through the movie. It was like, oh, I think I'm the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be the bad guy, which was kind of cool. But again, I just think Richard Pryor was miscast in this.
Yes.
But and that's not any hate on Richard Pryor. He's an amazing comedian. But it was one of those things like just, all right, that's happening. And he doesn't want to hurt Superman anymore. Neither did Lorelai.
Sure.
And so that was kind of cool. But yeah, this whole sequence of it's figuring out your whole weaknesses. Superman flies away to this to the specific chemical plant to get that acid, and
so that's
flies
the closest
back.
one he knows.
Closest one he knows. Flies back, holds it behind his thing, gets scanned behind his back, gets scanned, and the computer's like, "Oh, there's no immediate threat." And then Superman gets this, like, heat, gets it inside the computer, which heats it up to 160 degrees and starts melting the whole thing. Somewhere along the line, the sister Vera gets turned into a machine.
Yes.
But then
somehow
externally turns into a machine.
almost Roboman.
Yeah.
From Doctor Who.
Yes. Yeah. That was kind of, I agree.
Cyberman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
that's a good point.
Gave me those vibes.
And then Superman saves the day.
And no, the yo-yo saved the day. The Louis Vuitton yo-yo. I don't remember how, but I have the yo-yo saved the day. That's one big yo-yo. Those are my notes. It was a large yo-yo, apparently. It impressed both of us. We both thought it was a wallet earlier in the movie.
That's right, yeah, because there's a point in the movie where Gus is on top and it just slides down with his yo-yo string.
Yeah. Gus has a yo-yo this whole movie.
Yeah.
We don't know why.
Yeah, they never really explained. Just kind of, he has a yo-yo.
It's just his thing.
Okay.
I guess yo-yos were big in the 80s.
All right.
And then Clark was able to give Lana back her diamond ring. Oh, also, the machine died of acid indigestion.
Yeah, that's true.
Just so you know.
There was a diamond ring thing that she had to sell because...
to mortgage the house or something.
Or pay bills or some shit like that.
Yeah, so, Clark, Superman took some coal, made it into a diamond, gave it to her. Lana becomes Perry's new secretary at the Daily Planet, and...
Lois gets jealous of this.
Yes, for no reason.
And then there's the movie.
No.
What?
He put the Leaning Tower back to leaning.
Oh, that's true, yeah. The straight Tower of Pisa went back to the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yep.
And
roll credits. Also awful.
And
very terrible experience. Do not recommend.
All right. I'm going to get us out of here real fast. We do something at the end of each of our podcasts, each episode, where we call the pop, the corn, the kernel.
Yep.
Break this down. The kernel, something negative or that disappointed you. It's a bit that gets stuck in your teeth and you want to work it out. Wait, so what?
You want to work it free so you can get on with your day.
There you go. The corn, an opportunity for improvement. What could have been done better? A character storyline you wish you had explained or
had been
explained or developed more. It's a bit that never popped but had potential. And then the pop, a positive highlight, possibly lives rent free in your head. It's an idea or theme that came to full fruition and you love it. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to ask this question, Rose. What's your kernel?
My kernel?
Yeah.
Credits. Both the opening and closing credits were terribly done and awful to read. So basically the movie from opening credits to end credits. What was your kernel?
I was going to say the villains were lackluster.
Oh, you know what? That's a good one. I was brain dead at the end of this movie.
I was going to say, like, I could say this whole movie.
Yeah. But I was trying to not do that.
And like, what was the point of like Clark playing dad? Like, what was that? What was the point of that? But yeah, it was just the villain, Ross,
Vera.
We're gonna
a little bit Gus.
Like, just the villains were just so like
Like Gus and Lorelai were the best part of the villain party.
Yeah, but they were just because they had that arc of, oh shit, we shouldn't be doing this. But it's just like you started after Coffee Beans.
Yeah.
And it just got weird. And I'm like, all right, well, cool, whatever. The corn. What was your opportunity?
What was your corn?
What was my corn?
Your opportunity for improvement.
Oh God, I'm gonna say Richard Pryor.
Uh-huh.
I that's what I put. Like, so he was there. He was doing the Richard Pryor thing, but it's just I get that he needed the foil, and then like you needed someone to have like be down on their luck so you could connect with that character and then understand and like, oh, you want to be the good guy. You just were in a circumstance that puts you at being a semi-anti bad guy or anti-hero, if you will.
Yeah.
But it is just like, as much as I love Richard Pryor, I just was like, what are you doing here? What in God's name are you doing here right now?
Sure.
What about you? What's your corn?
Lorelai.
I actually had her in there. Yeah.
Lorelai. I wanted her to have something. Just like expand her character a little bit, like give her some exposition.
All right. What lives rent free? What is your pop for this movie?
My pop, Lana is just a nice person, though a questionable mother. But it was the 80s, so it's probably fine for the time. She lost her child in that wheat field. She did not care where her child was. The child was off with the dog.
That's fair.
Questionable mother.
But
it was the 80s, so it did kind of make sense.
Okay.
What was your pop?
I've got two. I'm going to do one because it's the comedy of it, because it's off of yours. Lana. Lana was my pop. My thing for redheads still stands.
It's very true.
My thing for redheads still stands. And I'm like, she still got it. 1983. Now, my actual pop was what makes me a good person. Is as hokey as it was, the fight between Superman and Clark was one of the better fights. There's something to be said about understanding that you are all powerful God, but what makes you great is what you do with that power and your humanity and your choices that you do. That I was like, damn, that's real cool.
That's fair.
That's very fair.
That's fair.
It's so funny. We think the exact opposite. This has been Superman 3 with a side of popcorn. Good God, we got through it, but guess what?
Somehow.
When we come back in 2 weeks, next time we'll be doing Superman 4 with a side of popcorn. You guys are the absolute best. Please pick up that CouchCapades Tier 2 membership if you want to do the watch-alongs. If not, hey, don't worry about it. Just watch this video.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast in video form or audio form. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us everything. That helps out too. Just to get more people on this couch, on that couch, wherever you listen, so we can talk more movies, video games, and just all sorts of fun stuff we do here on CouchCapades.
Yeah.
Again, you guys are the very best. We love you. See you later.
Bye.